Thank you for stopping by Scout Systems virtual booth. Here we're going to be talking about our platform and how it can be used in assembly or in fabrication. So in front of me, what we have is what we call Compass. This is the platform that's used on the production floor. And as you can see, we've built out an example of an assembly bench where we have our own the Andon system that's using our API call. Now, as the operators scan or type in or swipe a badge, this will log them in, and if there's a production job waiting for them, the operators will be presented this, and all they have to do is simply click resume or accept. Now, as they do this, our platform will download all the work instructions, and here you are seeing it in setup mode. Our Andon system just noticed that it's in setup, so that's why we have this light converted to gray. So production supervisors walking by, they could very quickly see what I'm working on. Now, the operators are going to be presented the tools and the materials specific to the job that they're supposed to be constructing. And on the right-hand side, you can add setup instructions. This can be picture format, video format, or PDF. Now, each of the tasks that the operators do, be it setup, production, or pause for waste, all of these are going to be individually recorded, and they'll be stored to not only the product, but they'll be stored to the operator who's signed in, as well as the type of station that they're working at. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit Start Job. Now here what the system will do is download all of the work instructions and translate it to the operator's language of choice. And with our Andon system, we have it notifying as green, so anybody that's watching me from a distance, they can see that I'm moving forward and producing my parts. Now, rather than a top-level bill of material where the operators have to dig through all of the engineering files to figure out what exactly they're supposed to be using, we design our system to make sure it's task-oriented. So your operators see specifically the tools and the materials needed to do this one task. And if they would like to switch over, they could see an estimation of the takt time associated to the specific task. So if they're falling behind on the build, they're quickly notified. Our goal is to not let the operators get too engaged in the computer screen, and we'd rather them focus on building the product in hand. So the product that we're constructing here in the instruction is what we call Tracker, and this is our hardware component. Now, Tracker allows you to connect into machines, shadow boards, as well as ergonomic features like push buttons, whisker switches, or foot pedals. So as the operators engage with the system, they could step on a foot pedal, and this will automate the system to move forward. If this would engage with the tool specifically, as the operators are building the product, the instructions can automatically change. Not only will this specifically improve the accuracy of your data, because you're not waiting for the operator to engage the screen, this is going to also can be used as a gate check methodology, where operators will not be allowed to move forward if and when a device is engaged. The materials will adjust on each of these instructions to again make it a little bit easier on your operators. And as they work through, you could choose the complexity of each of these instructions. If you would like to have digital signatures where the operators can check off things were done, or to record measurements to validate the product is within range, or if you have serial tracing that you need to have product identifying, you could have the operators barcode scan that in or RFID tag that in, and our system can pull all that content together. You could start as simple on day one by using what we call instruction lists, where you do not have to do the upfront work of creating these work instructions. Actually, it's something we would recommend. But then as you get further into this project and you develop the work instructions, it's up to you to choose how many features would you like to engage with and decide on the sophistication of your work instructions. Now, if your operators, let's say they run into a complication, they need assistance, they can engage the pause screen here, where it will load up all of the context associated with the work area. Our Andon is triggered, shown as red, and those that are watching live production from our platform called HQ, which is the manager suite, they would be able to see that the station is no longer active and instead is entered a pause state. Now, the pause state can have two different versions. One of them will be purple, which will mean it just recently went in pause, and then once it's beyond a threshold of time that can be customized by the client, it can go into an alert state where you'll see the screen will change with this orange bar around, and from live production it will be shown in a different color. The operators are unable to return to production until they select a predetermined list over here on the left-hand side. So for example, if I had, let's say, a tool issue, I could then record that I lost specifically 45 seconds to this problem. If I need assistance, I can engage with the people in my work area and they will have custom messages associated to their roles in the organization. Now, if you wanted to add MSDS records, troubleshooting guides, or supplementary instructions, that can also be done within that media library. And here on the screen, you might notice that it has that orange alert. That is because the threshold has now been achieved. Now, once the operators are done, their problem is resolved, they just simply hit resume job and it goes right back to the production time where they were. And all of the time is going to be allocated to waste as opposed to increasing the cycle time of that product. All production data will be analyzed within our HQ application, and we'll show you very accurately how much time do you spend in setup in each of the tasks, as well as how often you run into pause issues, so you could have a sense of where your valuable time is being invested. Now, if you enter a step that requires a bit more tribal knowledge, rather than relying on a video, which could slow down your more seasoned operators, we highly recommend using a picture-in-picture, as seen here. So if the operator is looking for a specific technique, rather than bugging somebody that's more veteran, they can engage the screen, and they can go full screen if they need to see a little bit more detail, and the operators can see the specific technique that's associated with it. Your veteran employees might not be in need of this, but it's something very beneficial to help rapidly train your new employees. Or especially if your operators are moving around, it's a great tool to have. Now, as you move forward into a project like this and going digital, some operators might have some hesitancy about the data that's being collected. And we believe that it's a wise idea to be very transparent with your operators, so that way they embrace this technology as a valuable tool for the company and not as a tool that they should be afraid of. So within our system, as the operators conclude a job, we do like to provide them some basic information about the job that we recorded, showing them how consistent they were from unit to unit. What was their cycle times? How much time do they spend in productivity versus in pause? And then we could show them the content down below. So if your organization had specific goals in mind of possibly being higher than 75% productivity, and if I fall below that, I might want to remind myself what were the complications in anticipation of my lead asking me tomorrow or later today. And as the operators close out the job, this will return back to the no job assigned page. Whereas if I had this integrated with my ERP, or if my leads were preloaded in my schedule, it would show me my next order immediately, and I just simply hit accept. Now, if your organization is one that does not currently do single piece flow, instead you do batch, or if you have CNC equipment that might want to nest those jobs, all of this can be done within our application. It's extremely flexible to allow virtually any type of manufacturer, especially those that are vertically integrated, to have complete visibility of your factory. We recommend starting with instruction lists to keep things simple. That way you can work to achieve your ROI as quickly as possible.